Ninth-grade girls have had this dare going all spring, she began. Some of them have been found out, and some of them have gotten away with it. Amy and another girl in her class were the last two to take the dare, and I'm afraid they got caught today. Caught doing what? Annie asked nervously. Not wearing underpants and wearing very short skirts, Mrs. Long said. Oh my God, Annie exclaimed. And this was the dare? Yes, Mrs. Long answered. Please don't be too upset, Mrs. Miller. Girls this age are prone to do silly things. It isn't that unusual. They so desperately want to be accepted. No real harm done. The school nurse gave them each a pair of new briefs to put on when they were caught. How were they caught? Annie asked, wondering if she really wanted to know. Miss Franklin, the field hockey coach, noticed it when they were at practice. Tell my daughter to walk home with her brother, Annie said wearily. I will, Mrs. Miller, the high school secretary said. You have a good day. Annie sighed as she hung up. It didn't get any easier. Just after 11, the middle school called. The twins Lily and Rose had freed all the animals in the science lab because caging animals was inhumane, the middle school assistant principal told Annie. Unfortunately, several of the mice had found their way into the school's lunchroom, causing a stampede among the luncheon workers that had resulted in a sprained wrist for one of them. There would be a disciplinary hearing in the middle school principal's office Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. It was requested that Mrs. Miller attend this hearing. Until then, the twins were suspended from school, and they would be sitting detention that afternoon. Tell them to walk home, Annie said grimly, wondering what was next as she went out the door to pick up her youngest child at nursery school. William Bradford Miller, named after his maternal grandfather, was 4 years old. Known to his parents as Whoops, he was Wills to everyone else. And Wills, it seemed, had brought balloons to school today for all of his friends, his teacher Mrs. Gunderson said as she handed Annie the packet of extra-sensitive sheepskin condoms. It's not the first time this kind of thing has happened, she told Annie laughingly, attempting to ease her embarrassment. I get this kind of thing at least twice a year. I don't know how he could have possibly gotten a hold of them, Annie mumbled, wondering if she could make Whoops walk home. Where had he gotten them? Nathaniel? Oh, you know little kids. Nosy, Mrs. Gunderson chuckled. Aren't you, Wills? She ruffled his hair fondly. See you Wednesday. Lunch and nap for you, buddy, Annie said. No nap, Whoops said mutinously. Nap for both of us, kiddo, Annie told him as she strapped her son into his car seat. Yep, if today were any indication, the week was really going to suck. Chapter 1. Some days, like today, Annie Miller doubted if she could continue to do it alone until all the children were grown. But then, what choice did she have? She hadn't said anything to them, but she wondered if they remembered that 2 years ago today, their father had stepped off a curb in London and been hit by one of those big red buses. He was dead by the time he had reached the hospital, and they had called her. It amazed her that Nat, her larger-than-life husband, could have been so easily killed. Had he lived, he would have told her, and anyone else who would listen, that the bus got the worst of it. And then he would have laughed that big booming laugh of his. Annie let the tears come. She was alone, and there was no one to see her cry. God forbid that anyone think she couldn't handle it. She knew what they had said about her. They said she was brave, a trooper, a wonderful mother devoted to her family. They said that Nat would have been proud of her, approved of everything she was doing. No one ever saw Annie Miller cry or show any sign of weakness. That Annie Miller, she had heard a woman in church say of her. She's a strong woman. Sometimes, Annie thought wryly. Only sometimes. At other times, she wanted to run away, because it was all just too damn much for one woman to handle by herself. They had met in college. He was a senior. She was a sophomore. Their story was the all-American fullback and the cute, perky cheerleader. Nat had asked her to marry him just before he graduated, but even at 22, Nathaniel Miller was a careful man. He wanted Annie to finish her education while he got a master's degree in business and then found a good job, and they had followed his plan carefully.